Hey guys, what's up? It is Josh Thomas here, back with Fanshare Sports for your course preview for the Open Championship, the last major of the year at Royal Portrush Golf Club. Really excited for it. This is a really fun course, something that I've had a lot of fun kind of diving into and breaking down and trying to find an edge for you guys as we get ready for the DFS contest this week. There's lots of great contests. Obviously, there's a Million Makers, our last chance to win $1 million this year on DFS Golf. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and we got you covered here from the course preview to ownership to sleeper value plays to lineup construction and everything at Fanshare Sports. So let's get into it. But before we do, first I want to tell you really a good opportunity here to win a free annual year-long membership to Fanshare NFL Pro. All you got to do is like this video, comment who you think's going to win the Open Championship, and you're entered in for a chance to win an NFL Pro membership for the 2019 season. Fantastic deal. These ownership projections that we have here are second to none. Obviously, I think it's great for golf, and it's only going to improve as we continue to go on here into the NFL season. We're adding FanDuel ownership for the first time this year, so diving into that a little bit as well. We're going to be able to look at groupings of players, so I want to see, however many QB wide receiver one stacks, what the projection ownership is for Kirk Cousins and Stephon Diggs. So we'll be able to look at that, really manipulate it kind of any way you want, which I think is really going to be exciting. There's going to be prop betting content along with the podcast, all sorts of great stuff. So don't miss out on this chance. It's so easy. All you got to do is like this video, comment who you think is going to win. Boom, you're entered in for a chance to win. If you don't win, again, I think that what we offer is really second to none here. If you want to use the promo code Josh, you get 20% off any subscription. That is golf, NFL, doesn't matter. You can use it for both, but use that promo code, you get 20% off any subscription. So do it, please. Like the video, comment who you think is going to win. I'm excited to see some of the answers here. So let's get into it a little here. Royal Portrush, two courses at Royal Portrush. There's Dunlucy Links and the Valley course. Dunlucy Links is where we're going to play. There hasn't been a major championship held here in 68 years. The 1951 Open Championship was held here. This is an old Tom Morris design, but really the routing and stuff was really done by Harry S. Colt in the 1930s. And then it was redone by Ebert in just after 2012 as they were getting ready to host this championship. It's a fantastic layout. It's right on the sea. Basically one of the prettiest golf courses that you're going to see not only all year but really ever. It ranks in the top 10 in the Golf Digest World Rankings every year. It's a beautiful course. Beautiful two courses really. And for this tournament what they've done is they've actually chopped off the 17th and 18th hole of the Dunlucy course and added the two holes from the Valley course. They've kind of rerouted things a little bit. So now the 6th and 7th are going to be from Valley. Two great holes that really added to the difficulty of this course, and really gonna, from a spectator's point of view, be a really big benefit by adding those. Again, this course is in Northern Ireland. It's right on the sea. Fans of Game of Thrones might recognize. They might have some shots of Castle Greyjoy. That's actually the Dunlucy Castle in the background for which the course is named. So that's right near the course here. Again, we haven't hosted a major championship here since 1951. That was won by Max Faulkner. The guy this is a funny story. He had a 6-stroke lead heading into the final round, and as he was signing autographs after his round, he signed everything 1951 champion. What a story if he would have blown it on Sunday, but the guy got it done and put a little added pressure on himself and took care of business. But they did host the Irish Open in 2012, which was won by Jamie Donaldson. We'll have a little bit more on that later, kind of look at the leaderboard there, see if we can draw any conclusions from it. Look at maybe how some of these holes played. Again, this is the only the second time that we've had an event or an Open Championship held outside of Ireland Scotland or Britain, not Ireland, sorry, Scotland or Britain. So for it to come to Northern Ireland is a really big deal. Obviously, Northern Ireland had some issues in the 60s and 70s that would probably, the RNA kind of stayed away for a while, but I think they're pretty excited to have it back here, and again, Royal Portrush is an absolute gem. So one thing to note about this course is, Adam Scott has been there for a week playing with local member and former major winner Darren Clark. He was really surprised at how demanding it is. You look at kind of how it played in the 2012 Irish Open. It was a little bit of a birdie fest. I think kind of the rerouting, the way they've grown the rough up, and the weather that they've had this year. They've had a lot of rain in June that has really made this rough very thick. And not just, even the wispy stuff that you're typical of seeing at Opens is going to be much thicker than players are used to. So anything that is off the fairway is going to be trouble. And these fairways are pretty tight. Now, we call them ribbon fairways, a little bacon, not necessarily like a U.S. Open bacon strip, but they're going to be demanding tee shots. In 1951, they had 64 scores of 80 or higher. I don't think we're going to see that many scores of 80 or higher here. We're not playing with Persimmon Woods, but at the same time, the opportunity is there for some big scores, which I think you're going to see some of maybe the best players in the world, like we do at every Open, struggle. The one big difference about Portrush, before we get into the hole by hole here, the one big difference about Portrush is how there's so much elevation. It's built on a dune. So if you know what a dune is, it's the wind blowing off the ocean, building these sand dunes. So lots of hills and humps and things like that. And they've obviously planted grass back on top of that to build this golf course. And because of that, there's tons of elevation. So we're going to have elevated tee boxes. We're going to have greens that you can't even see from the bottom of the gully that you're hitting out of. You're going to have uneven lies in the fairway. These sort of elevation changes are going to make it very difficult. And it's an Open. We're playing on a seaside course. Wind's going to play a factor. So that's always going to be an issue. But again, you're going to look at it and say, this doesn't look anything like St. Andrews. St. Andrews is flat. They're gonna use the bunkering to protect it. Here we've got these berms and these huge mounds that players are gonna have to deal with, and the wind coming off the sea day to day. So again, we have Royal Portrush. It's going to play as a par 71 at 7,344 yards. We got one short par 3 and 3 long par 3s, one short par 4, 7 medium par 4s, 3 long par 4s, one short par 5, and 2 long par 5s. Now, you got to take that with a grain of salt. It's an Open championship. Wind is going to be a factor. So we look at hole number 3. Hole number 3 is close to the ocean. I believe that hole is going to play into the prevailing winds most days at 177 yards. So while it's classified as a short par 3, at 177 yards, you could be hitting 4-iron into the screen if it's playing at 225 into the wind. I think number 3 is a little bit of a downhiller, so we're probably not going to get that sort of a big dramatic change on that hole. But again, the wind's going to play a factor here. 475 par 4 might play like 390, or it might play like 520. Really depends on what the wind's going to do every day. There's not a lot of bunkering on this course, so we're not necessarily worried about that. This actually only has 62 bunkers, which is like 140-ish less than Royal Lytham and St. Anne's that they played out last year. So the bunkers, while not going to be an issue, are still going to be something that, players are going to look at these fairways and go, okay, I can't play here because it's going to run out into this bunker. Or they might just say, hey, I can whip driver out here and the wind's going to knock it down before it gets there. So I'm not going to do anything to try to predict the weather. We're 5 days out. This is Sunday night. It's going to be all the way down to Wednesday night at midnight before we have any sort of idea if there's maybe going to be a weather draw with our lineups. And that's something that there might be a little bit of an edge in, and I'll cover in my Taking the Pulse article later this week on Fanshare. But let's get into some of these holes. Like I said, only 62 bunkers, which is kind of crazy. Hole number 1, again, I love the English courses. They have names for every hole. So Huey's par 4, 421 yards. It is not an easy hole to start on. We have OB right and left. So right off the bat, you're worried about pushing one left or right and getting it out of bounds. You do have some rough to deal with, but it's not going to be it's not super wide. So any sort of wayward tee shot is going to be a little bit of trouble. Big bunker right, you're going to want to keep it to the left of this hole. There's a big green with a bunker in front that really doesn't come into play. But again, the big thing here on number 1 is going to be the OB left and right. you're going to see this become sort of a theme here, in that you're going to want to hit fairways, and whether that's with a driver or clubbing down, being in the fairway is key. So I think we'll see some driving accuracy trending on Fanshare this week. Hole number 2, par 5, 574. It's called Giants Grade, but really should be one of the more easy holes. These first 4 or 5 holes here are going to be pretty easy, and then once we get to 6, 7, 8, 9, then we get into the tough stretch of golf. So hopefully you guys that started on 1 can get a good start here, build a birdie or 2. Dogleg left, lots of doglegs on this course. Might have a layup depending on the wind with the bunkering. This is a deep, thin green with a runoff to the left. A lot of these holes that you're going to see are going to be elevated. They're going to be mounded. They're going to have runoffs left, right, back, front, center. Most greens on this course are tilted back to front, which makes your approach shot a little bit easier, but landing it in the right area is huge. Many of the greens that are smaller, you just need to get it there and you're going to have a good look at birdie, but some of these bigger greens like you're going to see here is you're going to have runoff areas to bunkers, things like that. I think this is a definite birdie hole. I definitely think that you might see an eagle depending on the wind or teeing, but a position hole that if you walk away with birdie, you're happy. Par is going to feel, depending on the wind, like a bogey. Hole number 3, pretty straight away par 3. Very big green, good look. No, not undulating. This is the one flat green on the course. So you hit the green here, you're in good shape. You don't, you're in trouble. It's a very difficult up and down here on number 3. Scrambling's going to be huge this week. You have to be able to get up and down, and you got to be a little creative to do it sometimes as well. Number 4, Fred Daly's par 4, 482. Another slight dog leg left. You need to be on the right side to avoid the bunkers and attack the pin, but you're most of the time the wind's going to be coming in off the left, so most players will likely hit a fade into this with like maybe a 3-wood or a driving iron. Let it float up the right side. You're going to have a elevated green with 2 big dunes in front of it. You might be able to run it up. Otherwise, you're going to try to throw a big, for me a draw, I'm a lefty, but a fade into that green and let it land softly. Anything long here is going to be dead. So players are really going to, you're looking out at the sea here. You're going to be trying to maybe club down a little bit. And what might end up happening is if you club down and you don't hit it in the right spot, now you're going to be on the other side of those big dunes and have a tricky up and down from there. So definitely a birdie hole or a bogey hole on number 4 if you don't play it the right way. Hole 5, dogleg right. Big. This is like maybe my favorite. I'll say that about a couple of these holes, but maybe my favorite hole on the course. Basically, over the green, there's a cliff that drops right down into the beach and the ocean. So OB long. It's a 2-tiered green. You can take an absolutely aggressive line on this hole. You're gonna see guys that are, depending on the wind, if they get a good wind here, they can push this thing right to the green. But if they do, you might end up in the thick rough right if you run it through the green, or short if you don't get it there, and then there's these bunkers right in front of the green that are going to make it difficult as well. Hole number 6, par 3. Hole played is the hardest hole in the Irish Open. Typically into the wind, like I said. So at 194, you could play 220 here. Big, heavy, undulated green. Deep green that really tightens up at the end, so if they push this pin way in the back, which I think they'll do on like a Friday or Saturday here, this is going to play over par. We're going to see 4s, we're going to see 5s, we're going to see 6s. That guys are going to have a tough time with this one. Hole number 7, current point, par 5, big winding fairway that's really tight. Should make birdie here. 283 carry over a big bunker, which shouldn't be a problem for many of these guys. The hole is really framed by the dunes, so your sight lines aren't bad, but it winds its way through as you're kind of going off. Smaller green, there's runoffs all over this hole, so you might see guys go for it in 2 and run it off and make par. So just because they're up by the green doesn't mean that they're in great shape. I think really the best play here is maybe to lay up to 100 yards while the fairway is tight. If you can lay up to 100 yards, you're in a good shot to hit a wedge into a smaller green and take your birdie and go home. Guys who get greedy here for eagle might walk away with par or worse. Hole 8, another dog leg left, bunkers right in the landing zone. 285 and 315 for the landing at those bunkers. So guys who can place it right in the middle there in good shape. big wide green, not super hard to get at. We shouldn't play too difficult. Par will be a good score here. We'll see some birdies, but not a ton. But hole number 9, very difficult hole. This is going to be a dog-leg left, bunkers up the right that make a tight fairway even tighter. A really aggressive drive can get you a flip wedge into the green if the wind's not into you, but the prevailing winds do come into you here. So the drive's difficult into the wind. Your approach shot's going to be difficult, and to make it even more difficult, we're going to have a raised green that with runoffs on each side. So no wind. This hole should play easy. Tons of wind. We're going to be in trouble here. As we make the turn, another dog leg. This time we're going to the right on the backside. This is called Himalayas because of all the little dune mounds that we have on this hole. Lots of refer to them. They call them dunes over there. I refer to them as moguls. That's like a skiing term. Pretty wide landing zone, gets you about 100 yards in. But because of all these moguls on this hole, like they call it Himalayas, those moguls all run through the fairway as well. So no matter where you are, doesn't matter, you're going to have a tough stance. The ball is going to be below your feet, the ball is going to be above your feet. Long skinny green with a big mogul right. A back pin position on this hole is going to be a very difficult shot to make. And it's going to be guys who are going to have to, they're going to have to make a gutsy shot here. And hole 11, par 4, 474, PG Stevenson's. Fairly tight. There's a bailout to the left. Guys who taking an aggressive line here can get rewarded by getting a kick off the big hill on the right side of the green and get you about 40 yards as you roll down. There's a valley in front of this elevated green, so if you're not going to get it to the hole, it might fall back into that. Now you're chipping up into a green that you really can't even see. Which is going to be a difficult position to be in. An elevated drive on number 12, another par 5, the last one of the day. Fairly easy drive as long as you're going to stay left. The bunkering is going to be on the right. Your shot is going to be downhill into the green. You got that thick Marram grass to the right, so long shots are going to be really dead over there. May see guys lay up just to have a wedge into this green and look at birdie. Like I said, we're going to see some eagles here, but I think maybe the more prudent approach for guys is for guys to lay up, play that wedge into the green, not look, these around the green surfaces are difficult. Oops, sorry, here I'm not ready to go there. 13, another par 3, a downhill par 3. This is the heaviest bunkered par 3 on the course. We got 5 bunkers right around it. Downhill. It should be with the wind, which means that guys are going to have to club down. Guys who don't are going to be long. Long is not a great play here. So anybody, hit the green, you make your par, go home. You miss the green here, you end up in one of these bunkers, you're in trouble, you're looking at bogey. Couple of par 4s here, Causeway and Scaries. Causeway, the par 4's 14th. Pretty straightaway par 4, wide fairways. But because of the bunkering, you're going to see guys kind of lay up a little bit, and a long iron into this green is going to be difficult. It typically plays into the wind. If it does, you're gonna see guys hitting 4 or 5 iron into a green that's elevated and funnels balls into a bunker on the left, and you're dead in there. That bunker is so long or so deep that you're lucky to make bogey. You're going to see guys making double out of there just because they're not going to be able to either get it out or they're going to get it out and it's going to carry so far past the hole. So definitely a difficult hole on the 14th. The 15th, dogleg left with one of the more undulating fairways that we'll see. Big elevation change into a thin green that you can't see. So typical runoffs there, but you're going to be hitting this ball into a green that you can't see. Plays into the wind off the sea most of the time, so that 426, while likely falling into that short category, is going to play more like a long par 4 than anything. The 16th hole is maybe the should play as the hardest hole, I think, on the course this year. It's long. There's not a lot of room to miss here. It's going to play into the wind. There is the one saving grace of this hole, we're at 236. The one saving grace of this hole is that there is some fairway short of the green. So guys are going to be able to hit maybe a stinger, like a 3-4 iron, low 5 iron, and let it hit that fairway and run up into this green, and you might be in decent shape there. I don't think we'll see very many birdies here, but you do have an opportunity as we come into 17th here. Maybe my favorite hole. It's a classic risk-reward hole. So about 300 yards off the tee is going to get you to the top of the hill. You hit it that far, likely with the wind. you're going to be able to hit it down. It's going to roll down the hill and all the way to the green. We're going to see guys make eagles here. There's going to be a couple this week where a guy's going to hit the perfect drive. It's going to roll up on the green. He's going to have 10 feet for eagle, and he's going to drop it. Maybe if he's on my DFS team, he'll miss, because that seems to be how my luck's been going lately. Super great risk reward. And even if you don't take the risk here and try to get it down there, you're hitting in from the top of the hill into a downhill into a smaller green that's protected by bunkers. Not an easy shot by any means. The issue, like I said, with the drive is that there's bunkers on each side. If you go a little left or right, the ball's going to funnel into the rough, and you're going to have a tough up and down for birdie. But a par is not a bad score, but on a drivable par 4, you're going to see guys really be mad if they make par here. So you can see a guy jump into the lead with an eagle here on Sunday, which I think would be a lot of fun. I keep clicking over. 18. Really good finishing hole. You can see birdie or bogey here. I think it's really going to come down to here. There's OB left off the tee, so it's a difficult tee shot. There's a decent sized green. Long as dead. Thick left rough. The green's going to funnel to the left. It's thick rough on the right as well. The wind's going to hurt into this, so you're going to be hitting this back into the wind. Really fun hole to finish on. I don't think we're going to see like a John Vandevelde here because there's no water to speak of, really. But we could see a guy blow it up on 18 and make bogey here to lose the claret jug. So, again, difficult course, but there's birdies out there. But there's also double bogeys and triple bogeys and things like that. So I think it's a really fun test of golf. Take a look here at kind of how it went in 2012. Jamie Donaldson was the winner. Rafa Cabrera-Bello, a guy who I really liked this week, was second. Fabrizio Zanotti, another good links player, third. Guys like Paul Waring, who's playing great golf right now. Rory McIlroy, who I failed to mention earlier, set the course record here when he was like 16. Gonna play completely different. It's something to think about. Member here, GMAC. Member here, Darren Clark. Member here, guys who like that have played well. Francesco Molinari, Ross Fisher, both finished top 10 here. It's kind of your standard Linksy players have done well. Here's some notables to MC Andrew Johnson, who had that great run today at the Scottish Open up the board. Keegan Bradley, Brandon Grace, Andrea Pavon missed the cut here. Another guy who had a run up the board at the Scottish Open today. And typically a very good links player, Andy Sullivan, who's been playing some great golf lately, and Benjamin Hebert, who's also a solid links player. If we take a look at kind of how some of these holes played, the par 5 ninth, which actually played as a par 5, it's now going to play as a par 4, was maybe the easiest hole on the course here. But, looks like there was, 11, 12, 17 eagles here in 2012, which is quite a bit. A decent amount of double bogeys. I don't think we're going to see it play quite this easy, especially with the addition of the two holes, the 6 and 7 there. But good to look at. We look at the field here. Brooks Koepka leading the way in odds on, pulling these off of Bovada. Rory McIlroy, DJ, Tiger, Ram right up there off a win at the Irish Open. Your major content. I can't believe Jordan Spieth is 20-1. But hey, maybe he's back as well. Looking here, we got guys like even Phil Mickelson 50-1. I really like the number on Hideki Matsuyama there at 40-1. I think he's an excellent play this week. A little bit deeper down the board, this book has, I believe, where's Rafa? Rafa's at 66-1. I've got him at 125-1 over on my bookie. If you guys want to jump on that, I think Haotong Li at 100-1 is a great play. He's going to be a great DraftKings play this week. A guy who can definitely win here and has been just pouring in the birdies lately. So obviously it's an Open Championship. We have a very strong field, but with that strong field, we have some guys that maybe we're not necessarily used to in the field because they Open qualified or things like that, and just because we're not used to them doesn't mean they're good players. So definitely something that we can do this week is use the research station or the research tab in Fanshare Pro to dive into some of these better players. One thing that you can do is search by link specialists. So guys, what I did is I just said I clicked links, I clicked last 10 rounds, Now we can look at who's got the best average DK points, how many average birdies they have, things like that. What their cut streak is on links courses, which is, all of this is super important information. You can actually see their average projected ownership, what we average projecting it at. So it's something to take a look at it. Interesting that Zach Johnson shows up here, man, but he crushes in these Open Championships. Claret Jug winner himself, had a really nice final round at the John Deere, shooting 5 under. So maybe a guy that's might be sneaky this week. A guy that you don't think about as a links specialist. Yeah, Tommy Fleetwood there, third. Definitely a guy we think of as a links specialist all the time. But Webb Simpson, really done well on these link style courses. 10 for 10 and made cuts, averaging 64.65 DK points, which is awesome. Sergio, Ricky, another guy who's been good. Paul Casey over the years has been great. But maybe now here's the surprise. Patrick Reed, 74.70 DK points on average, which is fun to see these different guys that kind of pop. Matt Kuchar should be chalk next week, and for good reason. He just played excellent at the Scottish Open, and a guy who really crushes these link style courses. We talk about accuracy off the tee, good approach game, be able to get up and down. Definitely a Matt Kuchar type course. Another thing that you can look at here is seaside or exposed courses. These are guys who are typically going to be a little bit better playing in the wind, which we are likely to see. Average DK points, Justin Rose, Gary Woodland up at the top. And again, my boy Kuchar. Should be chalk for good reason. Tommy Fleetwood, John Ram. We're not seeing, one thing that we don't have is we're not going to have a lot of those guys that play on the European Tour, but we'll get into that a little bit more in the member chat this week and within our by taking the Pulse article. So, one thing that I'm going to do starting in this is I'm going to have a pick to win, chalk donkey to miss the cut, my sleeper. So my pick to win this week is Adam Scott. Maybe I got influenced by that article I read, but again, the guy's just been great in majors this year. We talk about accurate off the tee, excellent approach game, where a course where you're not likely to have to putt very well to win. Adam Scott, I think, fits that mold. I love him at 8,800 on DraftKings. He'll likely be probably pretty popular, but I'm willing to eat that. Chalk donkey to MC. I'm fairly pot committed on the Brooks fade in majors. I've been burned twice this year. It's got to happen at some point. But I don't know. I mean, Brooks has been okay in Open Championships. I feel like there's better value on the board than paying all the way up for 11-4 for Brooks. And for me, I'm gonna likely avoid that range. I think it's entirely possible that he misses the cut here. It's hard. You read the articles, you hear his quotes about not practicing unless he's playing. He said earlier this week that he likes to play the week before so that he can practice, because if he's at home, he's not going to practice. Well, he didn't play the week before this week. He went to the ESPYs, and I just think things are setting up for Brooks, maybe a dud in a major. And then my sleeper is Andrea Pavon. He, like I said earlier, he missed the cut here back in 2012 at the Irish Open, but he's playing excellent golf right now. He's a noted links player, fourth at the Scottish Open, 14th last year. He's done well at the Alfred Dunhill Links. Just a guy who's going to be low owned, very cheap. Fill out your lineup. One of those guys that the average player isn't going to be talking about, but has a ton of game. So definitely like Andrea Pavon this week at 6,400. Again, make sure that you get onto the YouTube page, like this video, comment on who you think's going to win, and then you're entered into that drawing for the free NFL Pro subscription for the year. If you just want to buy a subscription, 20% off. Use the code Josh. That gets you 20% off for the week. Again, follow me on Twitter, DFS Up North. Fanshare Sports, obviously going to be retweeting all our stuff, all the content that we put out this week. My boy Lee Aldrich, DK Golf Bargains, he's going to be pumping out content. He is a native of this area. We're going to be relying on him for hopefully some weather reports later in the week. So Lee, get your meteorologist hat on. So it's been fun. Looking forward to an excellent week. Check us out, fansharesports.com. Follow us on Twitter, and hopefully somebody that's watching this takes home the $1 million this week. Thanks.